Summary question. Our brain is far too complex a system to understand. And ancient Greek writers thought the brain worked like a hydraulic water clock. European writers in the Middle Ages suggested that thoughts operated through gear like mechanisms. In the 19th century, the brain was like a telegraph. A few decades later, it was more like a telephone network. Cryptic and inapt metaphors, right? So, all one doesn't understand. The brain is a very complex system and difficult to understand. So, from ancient Greek times to the 19th century, various metaphors were used to describe the functioning of the brain. And the author says crypt and inapt metaphors, right? They were not appropriate. Inapt means inappropriate, not appropriate, not correct. Even in modern times, people thought the brain worked like a digital computer and that maybe they could build computers that work like the brain or talk to it. Although the absence of apt figurative language didn't stop anyone from studying brains, apt, inapt, apt figurative language, the absence of proper figurative language to describe the brain did not stop people from studying the brain. Sometimes people confuse the map for the terrain with detrimental effects. Means what? Sometimes they took the figures of speech literally. They confuse the map for the terrain. The description they or the metaphors that were used, they confused for the actual brain, and that led to detrimental effects, right? Lot of harm that did, lot of problems that caused. Those are the main points. That brain is very complex. People use different figurative speech to describe the brain. They use lots of metaphors to describe the brain. Lot of uh, similes, gear like, it operated through gear like mechanism. So they used a lot of figurative language to express the workings of the brain. But they still continued working on finding out what the brain is like. But sometimes they mistook the map for the terrain. They mistook the metaphors to be the reality, and that caused problems. Okay, which option gives all these points? Though obscure and inapt, a number of metaphors have been used to describe our complex brain since ancient times. Correct, the first part of the passage. Sometimes people took the metaphors too literally, causing serious problems. Seems to be perfect. Let's look at option B. Because our brain is too complex to understand, we've been using metaphors to understand it since long, but we didn't study it. That part has not been given. Although metaphors are sometimes too confusing to give any clarity, they continue their efforts with disastrous consequences. What? What does that mean? Although metaphors are sometimes too confusing to give any clarities to those who study the brain, the metaphors are okay. They continue their efforts. So they're continuing the efforts is leading to disastrous consequences. So this is not clear. Metaphors are confusing, inapt, more than confusing, they are inappropriate. Scientists continue to study the brain. Some of them take the metaphors too literally, leading to disastrous consequences. That's not been given in B. Our brain is too complex to understand, so since ancient times we have been using figurative language to describe it. However, this has caused more trouble than good. Why? In what way? We have taken the metaphors literally. That is why. Some of them. That has not been explained. The non availability of an apt figure of speech did not deter scientists from trying to understand the brain. All right. This nevertheless caused harmful effects. What caused harmful effects? Taking the metaphor literally and becoming very focused on that aspect. That was what caused harm. So, no. Therefore, my correct answer is A.